Right, for a large majority of fans, and I think it is the large majority, there is no better shop window than when an international tournament is on. It's the perfect opportunity to just watch loads and loads of games, loads and loads of different players, and someone always catches your eye, whether it's a Euros, whether it's a World Cup, the buzz, the bright lights, the fact that everyone is like, you didn't just stay up and watch one Serie A game on your own. Everyone you work with, all the lads down the pub, everyone was watch the same game. So everyone's going to be aware of all of these different players. Now, in the past, players have been picked up solely based on their performance for the national team. And it probably shouldn't be that simple, right? A lot of people say, don't buy someone on the back of an international tournament. It's a deadly mistake if you do that. Don't do that. But is it a fair assessment? Should players be getting bought of international tournaments? Should they only be considered based on their league? So I'm going to look into some examples and explain how they did. Now, I'm going to give you 3 players that worked. Now, number 1, Mesut Ozil. Going into the 2010 World Cup, there wasn't a lot of hype at all, really, about Mesut Ozil, other than the fact that he was considered a bit of a rising star coming out of Germany. He left a serious mark on England at that tournament, and he did everything he could to aid Germany get into a 3rd place finish in the World Cup that time around. And he seemingly did enough to justify the blockbuster move to Real Madrid. At Madrid, Ozil became one of the world's best playmakers, being La Liga's top assister. He left Madrid with 80 assists, the most out of anyone around in that time period, potentially on the back of that World Cup campaign. Another World Cup campaign that was a success was Jaap Stam, PSV to Manchester United. Now, Stam's performances for the Dutch national team at the 98 World Cup were enough to convince United to spend big on him. United put £10.5 million on the table for him, and he quickly ended up in a red shirt. Now, it can be debated whether that was down to purely international performances, as Stam was a bit of a crucial tool for PSV winning Eredivisie in the 96-97 season. But that World Cup catapulted him into everybody's consciousness, and undoubtedly one of the best transfers of all time, if not one of Fergie's biggest regrets in terms of selling him. And then, Gary Lineker, Everton to Barcelona. He had a very successful stint at Barcelona until Cruyff rocked up and decided that because of the foreigner rule, he wanted his own foreign players and didn't want to waste one of his places. I think he only had 3 on Gary Lineker. He won the World Cup Golden Boot, and that was enough for Barcelona to get on the phone. Mexico 86 was a tournament that did it for him, and he was brought to the new camp by Terry Venables, who would later go on and manage England. Lineker was key to Barcelona winning the Cup Winners' Cup and the Copa del Rey in his time, and he finished his first season on 21 goals. Another player that did well was Wayne Rooney. Arguably, probably not as much on the back of Euro 2004, but the way he announced himself to the world at Euro 2004 certainly didn't do him any harm, did it? I think it was probably on the back of his Premier League performances for Everton, but I think that doing it on the international stage convinced United to spend the money that they did, and he was an undoubted success in terms of a transfer. Right, lads, gather around. You have heard me banging on about Manscaped for ages, mainly discussing the virtues of a well-trimmed ball bag. But today we're going to move a little bit north, and something that you might have actually seen, my beard. Manscaped isn't just a master of below-the-belt grooming. They have conquered beard territory too. And I know this is groundbreaking news. Let's delve into the details. Now, we are all well acquainted with Manscaped's brilliance for the downstairs department. They've been many a saviour of many a date night and many a ball bag. And you know the Lawnmower 4.0 by now. I'm not going to tell you about any of the features for it, because if you don't know them, then you're never going to know them, right? It's a certified hero for the nether regions. But they're here for the beards now as well, and they've got the Beard Hedger. It is a cordless miracle worker that is both tough and gentle. It takes down facial forests in a single stroke. It's got 20 different lengths of settings. It gives you the power to totally customize your beard without cluttering up the bathroom and having a million different attachments. Now, they've also got another member of the band, and it's the Handyman. That is a dual-sided foil razor that has got your back, whether it's your face, whether you're going clean shaven or just tidying up up a little bit around the neck. It is the epitome of comfort in the shaving world, and it's got a seamless and nick-free experience. So listen, if you want to give your beard the VIP treatment that it absolutely deserves, get over to manscaped.com, use the special code Howson, you're going to get 20% off and free shipping. And while you're grooming the jewels, let's not neglect the crown. With Manscaped, who said beauty had to be a pain? Let's keep it neat and tidy, top to bottom. But then there's the other side. United signed Cleberson on the back of the World Cup. And Cleberson was one of the worst buys that we've ever seen. 2002 World Cup winner. Highlights how it can all go wrong, even for the very best performers at an international tournament. Midfielder was touted as being a driving force for this. It seems mental even saying this to you now, but it was true. When you see him in a United shirt, you're sitting there going, fucking really? But it was true. He was considered one of the better players at the World Cup. We replaced Veron with Cleberson, which even though Veron didn't work, that was a downgrade even by them standards. And it was never going to be like for like. 20 appearances in 2 seasons highlights just exactly how bad he was. He had injuries, but he just never performed in a United shirt, and his career quickly dismantled following that. Cuadrado, Fiorentina to Chelsea. He had a successful 2014 World Cup, and it convinced Chelsea to splash 24 million on him. He did finish the tournament, joint highest assists alongside Toni Kroos, so he wasn't in bad company, but he just didn't impress for Chelsea at all. He only made 13 appearances at the club, failing to live anywhere near close to the expectations that everybody had of him, and after a year, he made the move to Juventus on loan before making it a permanent move. Another Colombian that did the exact same thing, James Rodriguez, absolutely lit up that tournament, got himself a massive move to Real Madrid, and did okay, but certainly didn't live up to the hype that he built himself at that World Cup. Marcos Rojo was another one. And Rojo's time at United maybe even reflects how poor recruitment has been for over a decade. We signed him on the back of that 2014 World Cup in Brazil, playing for Argentina. He was at United for 7 years, but he only played 122 games in that time. You know, he joined with a lot of expectation and a lot of promise. A bit of a psycho, couldn't make toast, but probably goes down as another flop, and maybe another signing that did all right at a World Cup that maybe we should have left alone. So, is signing a player from an international tournament always a bad idea? I don't think so. I mean, I spoke about Kevin Danso the other day. We scouted him 7 months ago. So would that be considered, as in this channel, not Manchester United, as far as I know, although United were linked to him then, would that be considered signing him on the back of a tournament like this? I think you've got to be careful because the quality in a Euros or a World Cup can't be compared to a Champions League competition in terms of a straight competition. You know, it's just different to club football. If you look at PPDA, if you want to get nerdy now, and that's passes per defensive action. I think the best team in the Premier League last year was Spurs with a PPDA of 8. That means they allow 8 passes for the opposition before they get in and press and make a tackle. And I think the worst was Forest, and I think Forest had 17 or 18, which is the worst PPDA in the league. Now that tells you that the Premier League, it's quite a narrow band of how many passes are allowed, but it shows you that it's quite a high turnover league. Do you know how many passes England allowed against Denmark the other day? 28. As if to just highlight how different in terms of the pace international football is. And then look at, let's say Cody Gakpo, for example. Not a bad footballer by any means. Found it hard playing for Liverpool, I would say, this season. The numbers he's putting up for the Netherlands, he looks like 10 times the player that he's been inside the Premier League. I think you could say that signing players based off international tournaments alone is very, very risky. I think maybe if you've done your work beforehand and you like what you see based on a tournament as well as all of the data stacking up, that's not necessarily a risk. But I think just seeing someone at a tournament and going, yes, that's what we need, that could bite you on the ass, I reckon. Anyway, let me know your guys' thoughts. Would you buy a player based on a tournament? Or is there got to be the caveat of, yeah, we needed to have watched him for 3 months beforehand before we make a decision? And can you think of any other successes or failures? Let me know in the comments. See you in the next one. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.